break down. I mean, he's clearly doing NLP, mind control program, when he gives these speeches, the way both parties have gotten behind him, the way Pat Robertson is getting behind him, saying socialism's good, it will save us. Obama is unstoppable. We have Kissinger saying he is the man, the world's perception. This is an opportunity for a new world order. In fact, cue that video up. We'll play a clip of it later, just the part where Kissinger says that. They're halfway through the 3-minute clip. David, break down, what's happening with Barack Obama and how he's being sold and packaged as this messiah.
Well, what they've done is used all the mass mind control techniques, and the key one is to turn him, over the last year, 2 years, into a blank screen on which the people project their own version of what he is. And they've done this by ensuring that he never goes into specifics up to the point where he was elected. Because once you go into specifics, when you're trying to be elected, you're already pushing some people away who don't like your specifics. So that's what you mean. No, I don't want that. So what he's done is just continually repeated the mantra of, I stand for change, I stand for hope, and I stand for something to believe in. Now, the change idea is very effective because of the way the system screws people. At any point in time, the vast numbers of people are not happy with their status quo, the way their life is. So anyone who comes along and starts saying, I will change things, is immediately open to that because, well, I don't like the way things are. Change, yeah, change. I mean, Clinton did this when he got elected for the first time. And so they created a blank screen with Obama on which the people projected their version of what those themes meant. And so he became all things to all men and all women, those that could see through him, that is. And that's got him elected. And what it's done, and I'm sure that there have been many other subliminal, even technological, I would say definitely technological effects that have been attacks on the human perception, so that they have actually started to see this guy in messianic terms. I mean, I've spoken to people, and I think, I'm going to click my fingers in a minute, mate, so you wake up when they're talking about this fellow. And I found that in Africa as well. So he's going to get this, compared with most presidents, a really big honeymoon period where he's going to be allowed to get away with a lot of things that other presidents like Bush wouldn't. Let's see what Bush is doing. Look, I knew it. No, but Obama is going to be different for a while anyway. And I expect, because they have this agenda and they want to push it on as fast as possible, and they understand this honeymoon period, anything goes for Obama, following January the 20th, that we're going to see things kick off real quick.
We're going to see a blitzkrieg of activity before the public wakes up. And going back, look at all his betrayals, though, to get the anti-war movement that swept the Democrats into Congress in 2006. Behind him, his handler, who brought him and Governor Blagojevich up, Rahm Emanuel, who's an IDF officer, not even really an American citizen or dual citizen, a foreign Mossad operative. He openly is the biggest pro-war person in the Democratic Party, but it's come out now. He told Obama, lie and say you're against it, and then now he's the chief of staff. So just incredible betrayal. The wiretapping against the Americans, flip-flop on that. Now he wants to confront Russia. I mean, Obama is doing 180 degrees from what he claimed he'd do, but now he's not saying anything. He's not weighing in on Gaza, on nothing. He's just sitting there and being our savior.
Well, Obama's not just a blank screen in the way I've just described. He's also a blank mind in terms of his own intellect. He's just a front man. He's a salesman for the people behind him, not least the big new Brzezinski. And it's interesting that if you read Brzezinski's books and then you hear Obama's policies, they kind of mirror each other. I got a quote here from a Brzezinski book before anyone had heard of Obama nationally. And it said, this is Brzezinski writing, needed social reassessment can be encouraged by deliberate civic education that stretches the notion of service to a higher cause than oneself. As some have occasionally urged, a major step in that direction would be the adoption of an obligatory period of national service for every young adult, perhaps involving a variety of congressionally approved domestic or foreign good works. Now, of course, Obama has been talking about exactly that. And this is a key phrase here in terms of Obama, that stresses the notion of service to a higher cause than oneself. This is going to be one of the great ways that Obama sells the tyranny. He's going to sell it as people coming together, as serving a higher cause, and again and again you hear him, not him, just him, but his wife as well, in some of her speeches, talk about the fact that America, he's going to have to sacrifice to bring about this change. And one of the key sacrifices, without any question, is going to be sacrificing their sovereignty and ability to govern themselves.
And that's why Colin Powell and Vice President Biden-elect are all saying, get ready for things that are unpopular when they're speaking to inner core groups of Democrats around the country, and it's been caught on tape a few times. They're saying the people aren't going to like any of this, and that's raiding the pension funds, starting new wars. And there's also this classic mind control, and I want you to speak to this particular tactic. They'll announce, we want world government's good, New World Order's good, New World Order means world government. Then they'll say, but I didn't just say that, and you're insane if you're against world government, and if you believe in world government, it exists, and if you think it's good, it exists, but if you don't want world government, you're insane, it doesn't exist. And then we've seen, again, all these publications announcing world government in our face. It's the same thing with Obama. There's just this almost like they're testing being ridiculous, lying in public, doing asinine things, and studying re-education camps in Soviet Russia and communist China. That's what they did. They made the interrogations crazy. They made people change what they were saying and believing every day. They would say, I'll quit torturing you when you say you agree with this. Okay, I agree. They'd still go ahead and torture you. Now you have to say you believe in that. And it goes back to O'Brien in 1984, where, of course, Eric Blair, George Orwell was writing about being a former secret police member in India and then a propagandist at BBC, at this mind control program of setting the precedence that the police can shoot somebody unarmed, restrained in the back, and then nobody gets in trouble. Setting the precedence just for unbelievable corruption.
Yeah, one of the things that they're always doing is pushing things as far as they can, and they're looking for a public reaction. If they don't get the public reaction against them that is a problem to them, then they'll go ahead with whatever they've announced. If they get a massive public reaction, then they'll just start denying it and saying it's ridiculous, and these people who are saying it are crazy, and they'll realize that they're going to have to do it in another way, maybe in two steps rather than one step.
Case in point. First, they said there was no Trans-Texas Corridor on CNN and Fox. They said Ron Paul was insane, that it didn't exist. On and on and on and on. Then they put up the signs, put up a lot of the toll roads, many of the 8,000 miles of toll roads, about 10% were put in place. Then they came out this week and said, okay, the Trans-Texas Corridor is dead. And then they announced a few days later, well, really, it's not dead. We're just breaking all the projects down into sub-pieces, and we're going to carry out every single bit of seizing your infrastructure to put international toll roads on it. So there's the example right there. Meanwhile, I'm on national radio debates, and the talk show host laughs at me and says none of this even exists.
Yeah, that's the way they work. And, you know, in terms of Obama, we've got a mass mind control operation behind him that's far more, well, it's not sophisticated if you know how it works, but if you don't, it's far more sophisticated than I've come across. This is really a step up.
Well, you said it. They're using every science they've developed together, overlaid, working on all 8 cylinders like I've never seen. And normally they would play off the left-right paradigm with both parties for the illusion of that the Congress and the president really run things and aren't just front puppets, you know, for the real guys upstairs, as you've said so many times. For the first time ever, they're telling us we must be unified. And for me, that is the signal that they are really moving into a new phase.
Well, it was interesting. Years and years ago, when I was researching this back in the early 90s, I came across a lady called Kitty Little, who was an Oxford Don, and she told me that she attended a talk by someone at Oxford University in like the 1940s. And she got into this meeting, which was a closed meeting, because they thought she had certain political views and she didn't, and so she was an interloper and they didn't know. And this man stood up and he made the speech, and he said that there was an organization that had no name. He said, we don't give it a name because it's much more difficult to track it down if it doesn't have a name. He said it has a political wing, and it has what he called a biological wing. The head of the biological wing was Lord Richter Rothschild, and he said, was the head of that time of the political wing. And he said, as a result, there was going to come a point where he was going to become Prime Minister of Britain, and his name was Harold Wilson, and he became Prime Minister of Britain in the early 60s, and apart from 4 years until 1975. But what he said in that speech was that the infiltrators of this conspiracy were going to go into the left wing, the right wing of the Labour Party, which was perceived then as a left-wing party, and they were going to go into the left wing of the Conservative Party, which was perceived as a right-wing party, because he said people instinctively don't like extremists, so we're going to pose as moderates. He said, and what's going to happen is from control of both these parties, we're going to fuse them together to the point where they become one party under two names, or three names with the Liberal Party.